Hello and welcome everyone. I'm glad you're joining us today. We're going to be taking just a few minutes to get set up and before we start. So in the meantime, if you want to write in the chat box where you're logging in from, we'd love to see where you're all tuning in from. And that's the chat box at the bottom of your screen. Hello, Kate from Ontario. Welcome. And Judy from Iowa. Yep. Marilyn from Nebraska. Hello. Welcome. Leslie from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and just my backyard. Good to see you here. Hello, Cindy from Texas. Pam from Cleveland, hello and welcome. Hi, Patricia from Halifax. Got a bunch of our Canadian friends here. Janet from Everett, Washington. We got Margaret from Ohio. Hello, Margaret, welcome. Roberta from New Jersey, glad you can make it here. Robert from Maine. Welcome, Robert. And hello, Auntie Anne from Manitoba. I think we have almost all the provinces represented. That's fantastic. Diane, welcome from Palm Beach, Florida. I hope your warm weather is going to make its way up to Minnesota soon. Hello, Jennifer from Wilmington. We've got John from Iowa as well. Chelsea from New Ulm, Minnesota. Welcome.
Stay strong. Put the past only where it belongs.
We've got Sherry from Buffalo, New York. So sorry to hear about the Bills. They came so close. That might be a touchy subject right now. I'm sorry about that. Hello, Wesley from Austin, Texas. Oh, I knew we would get someone from Saskatchewan now. Lori from Saskatchewan. Hello. All right, everyone, we'll be starting in just a few moments. So even if you are tuning in from Facebook, please go ahead and write in where you are tuning in from on Facebook as well, or keep typing in the chat as well. Love to see where you're coming in from, and we'll be starting in just a moment or two. All right, great, excellent. So it looks like we are, the gang's all here, so we're gonna get started. And first off, I want to welcome you all. Thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time to talk about solo tours. My name is Josh Henniger, and I'm the manager of our community engagement team here at Go Ahead. And I'm coming to you live from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So my friends from Minnesota, right in my backyard, a good hearty hello. Yeah, sure. And I look forward to chatting more about traveling solo with EF Go Ahead Tours with all of you today. Before we begin, the structure of this webinar allows us to share audio and video only from our presenters. So your cameras and microphones will remain off during the time that we are here together. And thank you to those who have submitted questions ahead of time. We'll be answering many of them throughout the presentation, and then we'll also have time at the end to answer even more. If you have any questions while we are presenting, please feel free to use the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen. And that will allow us to be able to get through all of your questions and hopefully answer as many as we can today. Again, that's a Q&A box instead of the chat function, which you've been using to type in where you're from. And if you are tuning in from Facebook, go ahead and you can comment your questions in right below here in the comment box. We'll be happy to answer some of those from you all as well. Now, before we dive in though, I would like to share a short video that we've designed especially for all of you here, our solo travelers. So I'm just gonna get it queued up. Enjoy. Every time I see that video, I just get so excited and inspired to travel again. I was tapping my foot the whole time, actually. You couldn't see it, but I was jamming out to the music. So I'm glad today that we can be together to really talk about who we are as Go Ahead Tours, EF Go Ahead Tours, and our solo tour experiences that we can have for you. And we have two incredible presenters that I'll be introducing in just a bit. But to start, I did want to shed a little bit of light on who we are as Go Ahead Tours. And when I say we, I really mean all of us joining in today, because now you are also considered part of the EF Go Ahead Tours family, and we can't wait to continue this journey through education and through our experiences together. So to start, at EF Go Ahead Tours, we believe that the best way to learn about the world is to experience it. And our goal is to make world travel easy and meaningful by connecting you with local tour directors, with historians and experts to bring the stories of the world to life and provide you truly authentic moments on all of our tours. All of our tours are actually designed by experts, they're guided by locals, and they're made just for you. And today we are going to do a deep dive into the tours that are designed especially for you all, our solo travelers, which I'm really excited to get to today. But to start, everything we do is driven by our mission. EF provides life-changing education for global citizens. And as some of you may know, EF is comprised of a collection of educational companies, from language learning to cultural exchange, from academic study to, of course, educational travel while we're here today. We are a family-run company, and we remain committed, as we have been for over 55 years, to our mission of opening the world through education. Now, traveling with EF Go Ahead Tours offers you the benefit of our worldwide community and network. So with more than 55 years of experience and with 612 offices and schools across 114 countries and over 50,000 teachers and staff, EF has a global reach and a huge network that we rely on when we develop new tours or enhance our existing products. And anytime we need on-the-ground intel, they're there for us. So we leverage our cross-product collaboration and connections so that while you may be traveling solo, you are never traveling alone. We've received a lot of questions about how we're preparing for travel. And while we anticipate getting back on the road just as much as many of you are, behind the scenes, we have been tirelessly working to ensure that when we are able to start traveling again, we can do so in a responsible manner. Our global presence and incident response capabilities are unmatched, and our specialized teams are trained to help with any kind of situation, big or small, at a single moment's notice. When you're traveling with Go Ahead, you are backed by the EF Global Safety Network. And our global safety network is made up of on-the-ground experts who are there to assist our travelers in over 50 countries, 365 days a year. We also have a crisis response team that's available 24/7 for anything that you should need during your travel journeys. The EF network works with industry experts. We work with healthcare experts and government personnel. We liaise with country embassies and local government authorities and local health providers whenever the unexpected arises. We have EF team members also living in nearly all of our major tour destinations, and they stay up to date with all the local policies and communicate with our high safety standards and requirements to the local suppliers. But in short, we are there to support you whenever and wherever you need us. Additionally, we know that health and wellness is an incredibly important factor in your decision-making right now. And our safety and incident response team has taken a lead role in planning what needs to change in the new COVID-19 reality and ensuring all of our tours are as safe as possible when you start traveling again. They've been working very closely with the World Travel and Tourism Council to implement their guidelines on the tours that we produce, ensuring all of our suppliers are following those same guidelines. The Safe Travel stamp that you see here is the world's first ever global safety and hygiene stamp for travel and tourism, designed specifically to address COVID-19 and all similar outbreaks. And on top of that, one last thing I want to talk about before we get to our special guest speakers is the EF COVID Care Promise. The EF COVID Care Promise states that if a traveler is diagnosed with COVID-19 during their tour or is required to quarantine due to COVID-19 on tour, we will be arranging the lodging, the meals, and flights at no additional cost to the traveler. When we do run tours, you can rest assured that we've done our homework from a health and wellness perspective, but also that you'll be able to see and experience all the things that you've been looking forward to and dreaming of. We can't wait. But without further ado, I want to introduce our presenters that are going to be here to talk to you today about solo travel. And it is my great pleasure to be able to work with them. First, we have Jessica, who is a loyal go-ahead traveler and an ambassador who has been on many tours with us. She's coming into you live from Nashville. And we also have Andrea, who works in our Boston office on the market development and innovation team. Her team is responsible for creating all of the incredible itineraries that you see on our website and in our catalog. So I actually want to hand it over to Jessica now to introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, Josh. So hi, everyone. Again, my name is Jessica, and I'm a Go Ahead Tours ambassador. I've been so for about a year now, and I'm really proud to say that I've been a loyal customer of Go Ahead since 2007, when I took my first city experience tour to Paris and London. I've been on 5 tours of Go Ahead thus far, and 3 of those, it's been as a solo traveler. And I'm really excited and honored to be spending time with all of you today. And I'm here to let you know, like the video says, it's true that traveling solo does not mean you have to travel alone.
Great, thank you very much, Jessica. And we're so glad you could be here today. Andrea, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. And thank you, Josh. Thank you, Jessica. I'm super excited to be here as well. I've been with Go Ahead for almost 6 years now, although this is my first webinar, and I'm thrilled to be part of the discussion on solo travel. Of the 35 countries that I've checked off my bucket list so far, I'm proud to say that 12 of them were as a solo traveler. So I'm really looking forward to sharing my experiences and then talking about how those have been such a significant influence on my team's thinking as we work to expand Go Ahead's travel options.
All right, thank you very much, Andrea. We're very happy to have you here. But let's dive in soon to solo travel with EF Go Ahead Tours. This is why we're all here, and we're excited to chat more about it. But before we jump into our first few topics, I do want to take a quick poll. So this poll will be appearing on your screen shortly, and if it doesn't, there's a little button at the bottom that you can click that says poll. And today what we want to know is, have you traveled solo before? So you can answer yes, no, or no, but I have plans to do so soon. Going to give it a little bit of time here so everyone can lock in their answers. Don't be shy. All right, it looks like we have, yes, a good, just over half of you have traveled solo before, and it looks like the other half are about to, if not having plans ready for them. So really glad to see that. Of course, this is going to launch us into our next question that I have for you all, and it's going to be another poll. This poll is going to ask, when considering solo travel, what tends to be your biggest hesitation? Now, this could be already when you're considering solo travel and you haven't done so yet, or when you're considering in the future, what might be a hesitation? Is it the cost? I can't afford to travel. I don't have time to travel. I don't want to be alone while traveling. I don't speak the local language. I'm scared to travel and don't feel safe alone, or I have no hesitation. I just haven't had the opportunity yet. So like I said, even if you have traveled solo before, what might be a consideration or a hesitation before your next trip? All right, I'm going to give it a second more to get all those last few answers in. All right, it looks like the slight majority of you have no hesitation. This came one out, and then quickly followed by you don't want to be alone while traveling. These are, very valid reasons, and we hope that we can address some of these concerns for you throughout this presentation. And to start, I definitely want to hand it actually over to Andrea.
Absolutely. Thanks, Josh. So I'm thrilled to share with you all that solo travel has been consistently trending upwards. In fact, we saw a 10% increase in solo travelers who booked a trip in 2019 than in 2018. Solo travel as a whole has become increasingly popular for years now, particularly for women. And don't get me wrong, we know that men enjoy traveling solo as well, but since traveling solo as a female used to be seen as risky or daring, it's impressive to see that now approximately 80% of the entire solo traveler market is currently female. And the act of female solo travel is now viewed as adventurous, exciting, and empowering. To back that up, a 2018 study done by British Airways of 9,000 women showed that 50% of those women had already taken a solo trip, and 75% were planning on it over the next few years, which is consistent with the poll that we just did. At present, the top trending international destinations for solo travelers in 2021 are Italy, Egypt, Greece, Ireland, and Portugal. But regardless of where you go, the value of solo travel can be immeasurable. There are countless advantages to traveling solo, and the benefits listed here are just the beginning. First and foremost, you'll have complete independence during your free time and meals. That means total freedom to put yourself first ahead of other people's schedules or desires, and it'll feel easy and natural to meet new people, especially when everyone else is going to be going through the same experience. There will still be frequent opportunities to step outside of your comfort zone, and with each of those opportunities, there's the possibility to gain personal insight and increased confidence. And I can speak from experience. I grew up in a family with 5 kids. There weren't many moments where we were really by ourselves, let alone at mealtime, which I believe as an adult is what led me to feeling uncomfortable with the thought of sitting down in a public restaurant by myself. I had never done it before, and for the first time, I was worried, what would people think? Then, as I started to travel a little bit more for work, there were times where I would travel solo for days at a time. I learned to have really great conversations with the waiters and waitresses. I learned to appreciate people watching and sort of taking that mental break to decompress from the excitement of the day. And since I was trying to experience all of the local flavors, there was no one to argue with about what type of wine to get. Eating solo is now a perk of traveling solo that I've grown to fully appreciate. On the next slide, there are a few photos from my personal travels. There I am. The first 2 pictures are from my first solo trip to Croatia. I had specifically arrived a few days early before the rest of my group, so that way I'd have extra time to hike and kayak. One of the benefits of traveling with a group, I quickly learned, is that there's always someone there you can ask to take your photo, so all of your memories aren't in selfie format. On that third picture, I'm actually at dinner on day 1 of my most recent trip to South Africa. It was an interactive, welcoming experience. There was some traditional music and dance, and everyone at our table ended up getting our faces painted. To be honest with you, this is something that normally I really didn't think I would enjoy, but because it was day 1, we were with the group, it was actually a really fun bonding experience, and we got these cute photos out of it.
I love that, Andrea. It's a great set of stories for us. And, I've also done Croatia as a solo traveler, and I think it's one of those really great experiences to have when you can go at your own pace. And especially the photo of you at the national park there, being able to hike at your own pace is a really great aspect of traveling solo as well. I do want to hear also from Jessica, though. Jessica, do you want to share some of your stories on your solo travels?
I would love to. So I think that traveling solo within a group, it really provides you with different opportunities that you may not experience when you travel with others. I am not a particularly shy person, as Josh has learned very quickly, but I do suffer with social anxiety from time to time. And traveling solo has really taught me that, yes, I can accomplish my travel goals without having to depend on anyone else, which is really nice. And I feel like it's also taught me that I'm capable of doing things on my own. I've really surprised myself. It's given me a newfound sense of independence and self-confidence, and never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would feel at ease, wandering the streets of Florence in the rain, getting lost and not having an anxiety attack, which was really nice. But then, the rain stopped, and then I turned the corner and there's the Duomo. I mean, that memory will stay with me forever. So I'm really surprised. I've surprised myself, and now I can't imagine not traveling solo.
Thank you very much, Jessica, for sharing those stories. And I think this is a great time to really talk about the benefits of traveling solo with EF Go Ahead Tours. And like we've said many times before, when you travel with Go Ahead Tours, you're traveling solo but never alone. So, Andrea, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit more about the experience of getting ready to travel with Go Ahead as a solo traveler?
Definitely. So Go Ahead really does offer a ton of benefits specifically for solo travelers, and many of them start, as Josh mentioned, before you're even on the trip. So when you plan a trip with Go Ahead, we take care of all travel logistics. That means you're able to fully enjoy each stop along the way of your trip, and you don't have to feel anxious about how you're actually going to get there. All transportation is taken care of, so there's no need to worry about renting a car or booking tickets for the right day, or even showing up to the correct airport or train station. We also offer the personalized assistance of our expert team, who are real humans, that you can contact by phone, email, or online chat. and they really do strive to go the extra mile in answering all of your pre-tour questions. Honestly, there's nothing worse in the world than sort of feeling that social anxiety or social uncertainty of potentially saying or doing the wrong thing when you're visiting a new place. And that team is specifically intact to make sure that you leave for your trip feeling totally prepared. You'll also have the opportunity to make connections with your group before you leave. With our free mobile app, you'll be able to see who's traveling with you and chat with those fellow travelers before your trip begins.
Great, thanks, Andrea. And Jessica, I do want to throw this back at you. Can you give us more of your experience as a traveler with Go Ahead, with the pre-tour? How did that feel?
Sure. So I used to be one of those people who would plan every detail and every minute of the day. Okay, I'm still kind of that person, but I absolutely love the ease of planning and booking travel with Go Ahead. So, and that's because they take care of the important details. Like Andrea mentioned, they take care of the flights, the accommodations, the transportation. And that really, it boils down to, it gives me that time to focus on the most important thing, enjoying the destination. And then their team takes care of any unforeseeable changes in the itinerary. And that means less stress for me and more time to enjoy my tour, again, which is the most important thing. For example, we had a last minute hotel change in Rome because of unforeseeable circumstances, but I didn't have to stress about it. So that's really what it boils down to, is they take care of everything.
Great, thank you very much for sharing that, Jessica. And actually, this brings us up to a question from one of our audience members. So thank you very much for those who are submitting questions. Please continue to do so in that Q&A box at the bottom there. This question is actually coming from Margaret, and Margaret asks, my first trip will be in fall of 2022. I'm insecure about meeting up with the tour at the airport and at the hotel. What does that process look like? Jessica, can you tell us a little bit more about that arrival day process? What does it look like?
Yes. So that's a great question, Margaret. So you will receive a packet from Go Ahead prior to departing for your trip. And it's going to contain instructions for meeting up with your group. So once you deboard the plane at your destination airport, you will go to baggage claim, and then you'll claim your suitcase. And then you will see a very clearly identified Go Ahead Tours representative. They're gonna be holding that beautiful EF Go Ahead sign. And you'll wait there with a group as they collect more people arriving. And then you'll go to the bus or shuttle that will take you to your hotel. And so then you get ready to start your adventure, which is my favorite part. It's so exciting.
Great. I think arrival day is definitely my favorite as well. You're a little bit exhausted, but you are so excited for what's to come. I love that. And great. And thank you very much for that question, Margaret. All right. That actually was a really great segue into our next section here. And that's going to be talking about when you are on tour, what is that experience like when you're traveling on a Go Ahead tour as a solo traveler? Andrea, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll jump back in here. So as mentioned previously, your expert tour director is going to play a huge role in your on-tour experience. Our tour directors know your destination inside and out and will help you uncover the best of each location that you visit. You're also going to have a number of local guides in many of the cities that you visit. And when traveling with Go Ahead, there's no need to spend your own personal time researching them, making sure they're reputable. You're also not going to have to wait in line for tickets once you get there at any of the entrances or sites. All of these logistics are carefully vetted and secured for you in advance by our team. Last, but certainly not least, you're going to have full access to our worldwide safety net and on-tour support. Whether it's, again, your tour director, our on-tour support team, who you do have access to 24/7, or our network of offices and staff around the globe, we're going to be there when and where you need us. And I actually have a personal story to demonstrate that last point. As we all know, we're currently in the midst of a global pandemic, but back in early March, most people didn't totally realize the severity of that and what it really meant. So Josh and I together actually took off for Sri Lanka to travel on one of our loyalty trips with a number of our group coordinators. It took us about 25 hours to get there, and we ended up only staying on the ground for about 48. We were quickly whisked back to Boston. To be honest, I don't think anyone in our group even fully realized what was happening and what was happening at home and in other parts of the world. But our Go Ahead safety team was closely monitoring the news. We ended up getting a personal phone call from our company president saying that we were all rebooked for later that evening. We needed to go back and pack our bags. So we had our new flight confirmations emailed, printed. We were ready to go in a matter of hours. And it was the first time, to my knowledge, that our welcome dinner actually also served as the farewell dinner. It was my first time even having anything like that happen to me while traveling, but I know it's something I'm not going to ever forget. We never had to lift a finger. Everything was taken care of for us. And even though it could have been a really scary situation, being abroad, not speaking the local language, none of us felt overwhelmed. No one panicked. We were all able to get home safely. And it's a memory that I'm forever grateful for.
You know, it was quite a wild ride. Andrea and I, we have that memory forever of our 2-day trip to Sri Lanka. You know, weekend in Sri Lanka. It was a great experience, but also such a wonderful way to end it with having the safety team really letting us know, like, it's time to go, and they had everything completely squared away for us. So all we had to do was hop in that transfer back to the airport, and we were all good to go. We actually have another question at this time coming from Linda. And Linda asks, will tour directors try to ensure that solo travelers and others are connected with each other or not forced to eat meals alone? I think, Jessica, could you answer this one for us?
I certainly can. So to put it in a nutshell, it's no, you're not going to be forced to do anything that you're not comfortable to do. I will say that every time that I've been, from personal experience, everyone that I've been on, everyone's been so welcoming, and it's very easy to make quick friends. I would just say that, go with an open mind and be willing to, socialize and mingle with others. But no, you're not going to be forced, to eat meals alone, but you'll easily find that there are people there that want to include you, and you'll make a new group of fast friends to enjoy those adventures together.
Great, thanks, Jessica. And I think that's really a key, is building our community, and which is what I want to talk about next. And Jessica, I know you've been a part of our Go Ahead community now since 2007. Do you want to give us a little bit more information about how you experienced the community surrounding the tour, as well as, the online community presence that you've been such a great part of?
Yeah. First and foremost, I was notified by Go Ahead about the Facebook page, the solo traveler Facebook page, and the general Go Ahead page as well, after one of my tours when they started building up their social media presence. And I was never really one to join group pages personally before that, but I really love the idea of connecting with other like-minded people, who enjoy travel or who were curious about travel, and in particular, the solo travel group. So if you are already a part of that Facebook group, you probably have recognized my name or photo, pop up from time to time when responding to questions and posts from other group members, because I'm just really passionate about helping others learn more about travel opportunities and giving them information to help them make an educated decision for their travel plans, because I know I appreciate that.
Great. And thanks, Jessica. We love having you as part of our Go Ahead family as well. And like I said earlier, our mission really is opening the world through education. So whether you are traveling soon or traveling a few years from now, we want to welcome you into our community of like-minded travelers, and be that, talking to us on the phone or interacting with us on social media, or like Jessica said, even communicating with each other. We love to see when our travelers do make those connections and become lifelong friends. So that's really exciting. But now what I want to do is I want to turn a little bit in a different direction and talk a little bit more about the ways you can travel as a solo traveler with Go Ahead. And I know Andrea's got a lot more information than I do, so I'm going to hand it back to her.
Absolutely. So the best part about traveling solo with Go Ahead is that there's nothing special you need to do. So you always have the option to join any of our 190 plus Go Ahead tour itineraries in the comfort of your own private room. So in this case, you'd be part of a larger mixed group consisting of other solo travelers as well as friends and family who may have signed up for the trip together. Or you now have the option to join one of our brand new tours designed specifically for solo travelers who are hoping to travel with like-minded individuals. All of our tours welcome solo travelers, so it's really just a matter of what works best for you, your schedule, and the type of excursions and experiences that you're hoping to have. You won't ever be limited by traveling solo or having to travel one way or the other. Instead, these new solo tours just provide additional options for you to choose from.
Great. And Jessica, do you mind chiming in here and giving us a little bit more information about your experience as a traveler, being a solo traveler on one of our Go Ahead tours?
Of course. So, like I mentioned earlier, I've been on 3 tours as a solo traveler, and that was back before the solo tours were created. So I will tell you, I was so excited to see the solo tours, offered and created. It was very exciting. I was like a kid on Christmas morning. But I've been to Italy twice and Scotland as a solo traveler, and don't tell my family, but I think I enjoyed it even more than traveling with them. I love my family, don't get me wrong. But I really love the idea of having a private room to myself. But I also enjoy the flexibility and more importantly, that sense of security that group travel provides, especially being a single woman traveling alone overseas. So, I mean, I can choose to spend as little or as much time with the group, but still enjoy time to explore on my own. And then, of course, there is nothing more relaxing at the end of a long day of traveling fun than to come back to your hotel room and decompress and just get ready for the next day's adventures.
I have to second that, Jessica. I agree. There's, like you said, nothing better than after a long day of just being back in your room and just taking a deep breath and having your space.
Yes.
Fantastic. So we've talked a lot thus far about traveling as a solo traveler on one of our classic tours. Andrea, can you tell us a little bit more about this new style of travel with our exclusively solo tour travel itineraries?
Absolutely. So as you can see here, there are 6 tours listed that are sort of our jumping off point. All of these tours include the cost of a private room and also include unique experiences to really help you get the most out of your trip. So before I jump into a few of those tours that I'm most excited about, I do want to explain sort of the why behind these tours, how they came to be and where they stemmed from. So at the start of every year, my team meets to discuss and sort of strategize about new tour development. We talk about what new destinations do we want to visit, what destinations could we work to improve, are there any world events or celebrations that we think travelers might want to be a part of, and how can we facilitate that for them. So for these specific solo tours, we had actually heard and saw firsthand demand for this style of tour. We were seeing a significant increase of solo travelers across many of our standard classic tours. And we also saw that none of our competitors really offered a specific portfolio to this market. We take pride in being an industry leader. So we really began by taking a few of our top trending destinations and then a few of the top requested destinations for solo tours and developed the start of this new travel style. It's only the beginning. I know we only have 6 right now, and I have about 100 different ideas rolling around my head to further expand it. But we do want to expand our offerings every year, both in terms of destinations as well as in terms of tour theme and content.
Great, thanks, Andrea. And this is a great chance for all of you to get in part of this as well. So we want to hear from you of the destinations that you're looking forward to traveling to. And so at any time, if you have ideas, please reach out to us in the office. We'd love to hear from you all. But actually right now we have another great question coming in from Rebecca. Rebecca asks, aside from not paying for a single room, what is the difference about being on a solo travel tour or a regular tour as a solo traveler?
Yeah, I think that's an important question to sort of differentiate here. So on a regular tour, there will be a mix of other solo travelers as well as travelers who are with their friends and family. On a solo tour, the participants will all be solo travelers looking to travel with like-minded individuals. Otherwise, the only real difference are the themes for some of the sightseeings and the departure dates offered. Again, the biggest goal behind offering these new solo tours and this sort of collection together is just to offer more options, specifically for solo travelers to choose from. But solo travelers are welcomed the same, whether they choose to go on one of our standard classic tours or one of the new tours that's part of this new travel style. And actually, I think this is a good segue to sort of jump into some of those new tours now. That way I can better explain some of the new unique content that we've worked on. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Venice, Florence, and Rome. And one sort of differentiator I do want to point out as well is that all of our solo tours are capped at 28 travelers. So they will range from a minimum of 15 travelers to a maximum of 28, which is a notable difference from our classic tours. Some of those can actually go up to 38. So this is a smaller group experience. We also sort of work to build in additional opportunities to mingle with other tour members, starting on the very first day. I believe Jessica mentioned, so you'll always have your welcome meal, you'll always have your farewell meal, but we want to sort of build in that extra time so that you can sort of get to know your group members at your own pace. Nothing feels rushed or forced. We also adapt our sightseeings. So for example, on this particular tour, Venice, Florence, Rome, we have a culinary walking tour of Florence that I'll explain more in a minute. And who doesn't love to bond over good food and delicious wine? A lot of our food and wine themed excursions actually are more exclusive experiences that can only be offered on a smaller group size. So within these solo tours that we're working to offer, they're actually a really good match. We also aim to offer some more hands-on activities, again, to make group collaboration feel a little bit more natural, a little bit more fun. And so your farewell meal in Rome on this itinerary is actually a cooking class that I'll get into as well. Now, let's unpack the itinerary a little bit, and that's my cheesy travel pun for the day. Each of our sightseeing excursions do contain classic historical components. We understand that this could be a return trip for some, it could be the first trip for many, and we don't want to leave you feeling like you missed a must-see. So we don't go too off the beaten path. You'll still get ample opportunity to study the history and the art of all of these iconic cities, hopefully with a gelato in hand. And then using our classic sightseeing excursions as a base, we work to add unique stops to each of the sightseeing tours within the solo tour portfolio. So we want to enhance each sightseeing experience. For example, during this culinary walking tour in Florence, you're going to start with a short walk through Mercato Central. You'll discover the local cuisine such as Tuscan breads, meats, vegetables, herbs. You'll even stop for a typical Italian breakfast with a cappuccino, some Italian pastries. But Mercato Central, it is so much more than just a market. It's a market, it's a pizzeria, it's a brewery, it's a cooking school, and it's a lot to take in and experience. It's very exciting. Your walk is going to continue through the Sant'Ambrogio neighborhood, where there's another market, Mercato Sant'Ambrogio, and that's actually where all the local Florentines do their daily grocery shopping. So here the group will taste some local finger foods, such as fried bread dough, veggie meatballs, and experience daily life as someone who lives in Florence. Then, as I mentioned, at the end of the trip, you're going to enjoy a hands-on cooking class in Rome. It's going to be led by a professional Italian chef. You'll learn to make different pasta recipes such as ravioli, gnocchi, fettuccine, and then you'll enjoy the fruits of your labor for dinner, of course, paired with a delicious Italian wine.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you, Andrea, because I'm getting too hungry right now. This all looks really incredible. And I have to say that cooking classes are definitely one of my favorite things to do when traveling. Absolutely. The culinary scene, the wine scene, that's right up my alley. And so I love doing these myself. But I know, Jessica, I saw that you had a photo of a cooking class earlier on that I would love to hear more of your experience. What is a cooking class like on a go-ahead tour?
Oh my gosh, so much fun. One, I love food. Two, it's in Italy. Why not? So I had that excursion when I went on a food and wine tour in Tuscany. Side note, I don't like wine. I don't drink wine. Don't chase me off of here, I promise. But I love the food. So that was enough for me to go. But it was really great and fun learning how to cook traditional Italian food. And most importantly, it was, made some great memories with other members from the tour group before, of course, enjoying the fruits of our labor at the end of it. But I am also going to give everyone a really valuable tip. Pack stretchy pants for a food and wine tour. Very helpful. You're going to need them.
Pro tip. Thanks, Jessica. And as much as I'd love to talk about Italy all day long, I know we have some more itineraries that we want to get to. So I'm going to pass it back to Andrea.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. So quick segue here. The second itinerary I want to share with you all is in Ireland. Ireland is a super popular destination for first-time travelers, whether you're traveling solo or with friends and family. It's a slightly shorter plane ride compared to the rest of mainland Europe, and the fact that they speak English can make people who are traveling for the first time feel a little bit more comfortable off the bat. Plus, it doesn't hurt with all the abundant greenery and seaside cliffs. Honestly, it's some of the most beautiful that I've ever seen. And actually on the next slide here, there I am on the edge of Slieve League with the waves crashing below me. This picture was taken on my first trip to Ireland 2 years ago. So I was, again, a solo traveler with this group. We were traveling all along the wild Atlantic Way, and I highly, highly recommend this trip. You could even take a picture right there where I'm sitting. Another unique element to this tour is a visit to the famous Guinness Factory. So this is a request that we actually see for almost all of our Ireland tours, but it's a little hard to enjoy as a larger group. So this is another example of something that's best offered with a smaller group size, such as on our solo tours. So on our Ireland for Solo Tours itinerary, we include the opportunity to explore all 7 floors of Guinness history and memorabilia, and you'll quickly learn why this beer happens to be one of Ireland's favorites. At the end of your visit, you'll actually even get a pint of beer up at the Gravity Bar, and then it's just sweeping incredible views of Dublin down below. As you continue through Dublin, you'll have the opportunity to check out, other bucket list sites such as the stunning St. Patrick's Cathedral, photographed here. You'll actually have a guided tour. You'll pass by Trinity College, and then you'll walk through the Temple Bar district where you can rub elbows with some of the locals. Then, after you leave the big city, you'll pass through the smaller, more quintessential towns of the Irish countryside, such as Kilkenny and Cork. And we include a stop in Cashel for a cheese tasting at a local farm, so you can interact with the cows and the sheep and enjoy some really, really delicious farm-to-table cuisine. Okay, and the third itinerary that I'm going to share with you today is actually in the American Southwest. So for anyone who's looking to stay a little bit closer to home for their next trip, we have a phenomenal 9-day option, 11 days if you include the extension, and it includes multiple national parks and monuments across 3 US states. One of the biggest highlights of this trip for me is that it's the only itinerary we currently offer that visits Arizona's Verde Valley Wine Trail. So prior to researching this tour, I personally actually didn't have a clue that Arizona had a renowned wine region. And it turns out that the dry climate and the access to water right outside of Sedona offers an ideal environment for grapes to thrive. So there are over 20 different wineries along this trail, and it's now rated a top 10 must-see, must-do for the region. So we're really excited to have that incorporated for this new tour. Another highlight of this trip is the Grand Canyon. And we do have other itineraries that include the Grand Canyon as a day trip. This is actually the only itinerary we offer that has a sunset hike. Overall, this itinerary is actually a little bit more active than some of our other domestic tours. So for people who are feeling energetic, they want to get off the bus and explore on their own 2 feet, this is a really great option to consider. A third highlight is the full day spent in Zion National Park. So the goal behind this day is to really create an opportunity for people to customize what they want to do. So it starts off with a scenic tram ride. You sort of get the lay of the land within the park. And then travelers can choose what they want to do later that afternoon, which path or paths they'd like to hike. It can be completely up to them. You can choose to stay together. You can choose to peel off independently. And the paths all vary by mobility level as well. To end this trip, you'll experience the full diversity of the American Southwest by visiting the city of neon lights, Las Vegas. So after spending a week exploring nature and some of our country's best parks, enjoy the iconic sights of Las Vegas along the strip before you toast your trip at a farewell dinner. And actually strategically ending the trip in such a major city, it makes the possibilities endless if you want to extend your stay on the West Coast even longer.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing these itineraries with us, Andrea. I know you wish you could go through all of the itineraries that we have available, but if all of you out there are interested in finding out more, you can go to our website or give us a call. We'd love to talk more about our solo tour itineraries with you. But now I actually have another question for you and another poll. So again, if the poll doesn't automatically appear, you can hit the poll button at the bottom of your screen. And this question is, which of these travel themes appeal to you most as a solo traveler? Is it classic highlights like our Venice, Florence, and Rome? Of food and wine, where you can join Jessica and I on a great culinary experience? Maybe an African safari, a history tour, or one of the active and adventure tours similar to the Southwest tour that Andrea just mentioned with the national parks? Just going to give it a few moments for everyone to lock in your answer. Could we just fill in this with final answer? All right, it looks like we are just about done here, and classic highlights looks to be the slight majority, and then food and wine and history right behind that. So that's fantastic. Like I said, if you want to find out more information, please give us a call, and we are more than happy to discuss more of these different travel options for you. But now I want to turn the tables a little bit, put the ball more in your court out there to ask more questions. So for the remainder of our time today, we will be able to get to answer some of your questions live. And like I mentioned, in the Q&A box, you see the Q&A with the two little speech bubbles. Write your questions in there and we'll be able to answer as many as we can live today. But before we get to too many of those, I know one has been, I saw it pop up in the chat a bunch of times here, and we want to address it with you all. And that's the question we get most often from solo travelers as, why do I need to pay a solo supplement? That extra cost for that private room. Andrea, do you want to go ahead and take this one?
Absolutely. We definitely hear this question time and time again. And since I do work hand in hand with the team that directly sources and contracts all of our hotels, I'm excited to sort of explain the context with you all. So the hotel rates that we contract are typically based on the cost of the room, not the amount of people who are actually in them. So when two people are sharing a room, they're splitting that cost for each night of the tour, which makes it less expensive than if one person were to have to pay that cost independently. Fortunately, since we do have a huge volume of travelers that we send abroad each year, we're able to negotiate super competitively so that the supplement for solo travelers remains well below double the cost.
Great. Thanks for your answer, Andrea. And I know the next question that generally comes after that is, what's the value of that solo supplement and what do they get by paying it?
Absolutely, and equally important. So by paying the solo supplement, you're guaranteed the same size and quality room as everyone else on your trip. It's not going to be smaller. It's not going to be in the back corner. The solo supplement isn't intended to be a punishment for traveling solo. We just want to make sure that we're securing the same exact quality experience for all participants of a tour, regardless of whether they booked with travel companions or not.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. We have another question now for Jessica, actually. This one's coming in from Jolanta. Jessica, could you answer this question? Do you have to handle your own luggage during tour, going to and from the bus and the hotels?
Oh, that's a great question. So porter services are included, but I will also note that your tour director will provide you with a daily agenda along with instructions on where and when to have your luggage ready, outside your room, so the porters can pick it up and they'll load it onto the bus for you. So you are responsible for your carry-on and day bag that you'll keep on the bus with you. But yes, porter services are included and very much appreciated.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jessica. This next question is actually for Andrea. Linda would like to know, what factors go into deciding the solo tour itineraries?
That's a really good question. And honestly, there are a ton of different elements. I'd say firstly, what we look at is, what do our customers want? So, we have webinars like this, we have the Facebook page. We really want to see what people are requesting, what people are asking for, and also what's trending within the market. So we want to listen to our customers as much as possible, but we also want to keep them informed of our own research and findings. So once we sort of establish the where, then we sort of try to put a unique spin on certain excursions. That way we can differentiate different sightseeings. If someone's been to one place before, it's not repeating it if they were to go back. And we also want to make sure we are keeping our costs as competitive as possible. So, what can we do to make sure we're not devaluing the experience, but instead enhancing and adding to it. Personally, I love to play around with specific themes like history or art or food and wine. So depending on customer demand and what makes sense regionally, that's something that I always consider as well.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. This next question I'm going to bring back to you, Jessica, and that is, on average, how many solo travelers are there versus how many couples? And from your experience, do the couples mix well with singles?
That's a great question. So I would say it's really going to vary based on which tour style you choose. Obviously, if you choose a solo itinerary, it's going to be comprised of solo travelers. However, I will say, and I think I mentioned this earlier, in my personal experience, I've always felt welcomed and included by others in the group. And I've never once been made to feel like a third wheel. Honestly, traveling solo makes you a little bit more approachable in some aspects. And so people are more willing, to quickly become your friend. And I will have a lot of friendships that I've had for, oh gosh, since my first go ahead tour in 2007. So, and treasure those friendships dearly. But yeah, it's really going to vary based on the tour style that you choose.
Great. Thank you. This next question I'm going to address to Andrea, but then I'm also going to want your opinion as well, Jessica. This one's coming from Lori. Where would you recommend as a first solo trip? Andrea, do you want to take this one?
Absolutely. God, it honestly is hard to pick. I would say that, most people when they're traveling independently, they want to make sure that they're really getting the things that they wouldn't be able to do themselves. So those sort of off the beaten path excursions, really examining what you're doing in each city. Is it something I could replicate myself, or is sort of the benefit and the support of having the group behind me going to be a huge influence on this trip? So personally, I'm super excited about the American Southwest tour. That's actually our most recent one that we released, just because sort of being able to go off that beaten path, you feel like you know it, you feel like it's your own backyard, but we are doing some really unique things that I think a lot of people aren't as familiar with, and can sort of return home feeling really well versed in the region. I'm really excited about some new exciting opportunities.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. How about you, Jessica?
That is a really fun question. I would say I get this question a lot just from my friends and family who have never traveled internationally. I personally would recommend maybe England or Ireland specifically, only because they do speak English and you might feel more, or Scotland. Yes, Julian, Tessier, yes, I would agree. Scotland is also great. Because they speak English, and the pace there it'll make you feel more comfortable getting acclimated to international travel. So I would recommend the UK, because it's a great way to get your foot in the door, and then after that you're going to get the travel bug, and there's no stopping you from there.
I love that. And I'm actually going to cheat here and put in my own opinion. I know you all asked for that as well. I'll say actually one of my favorite tours I've taken with Go Ahead, and my first tour I'd taken as a solo traveler was through Scandinavia. And I would highly, highly recommend that tour, Scandinavia, the capitals to the fjords, as a solo traveler, because there are so many logistics, from train rides to boats to planes. It's an incredible experience. And like Jessica said, English, if you are worried about the language barrier, I didn't go anywhere that I couldn't speak English perfectly well with most of the vendors that I was working with there. But I definitely say Scandinavia for that. I don't want to have to plan a trip by myself to go through that with all those different modes of transportation. So I was grateful Go Ahead was able to allow me to do that. Fantastic. Just as a side note, we are receiving so many questions, and we appreciate that. Keep them coming. We definitely will not be able to get to all of them by the end of our time together today, but we will compile together like an FAQ sheet or a question and answer sheet for you that we can then in turn send out to you in an email after this presentation. But I do want to get back into more questions while I still have some time here with you today. This next question, let's go to Meredith asks, do these trips include all expenses? Andrea, do you want to take this one?
Absolutely. So I would say they include somewhere between 80–90%. It's not every little thing, and I'm happy to outline exactly what they don't include. So basically all of your overnights, I'd say it's probably half of your meals, all of your on-tour transportation, all guides, all of that is taken care of, anything that you consider a logistical part of the trip. The only thing that aren't included are a few meals, which are clearly noted on your itinerary. You'll know when you have lunch, when you have dinner, and when you don't. Tips for local guides, as well as your tour director, and then really just any souvenir shopping. So any little extras, anything that you want to bring home, of course, that's up to you. But for any standard components of the trip, again, bus, hotel, welcome meals, and typically what we do is we try to include at least one meal in each city that you visit. All of that is taken care of, and so there's no surprise costs.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. This next question it's actually going to be a two-parter. I'm going to combine a few different questions that we've received. The first question is coming from Monica here, and she asks what ages are most represented on these tours. And I'm going to add a little bit extra because I saw some in the chat that popped up regarding, are solo travelers, from your experience, generally looking to mingle in a more romantic sense on the tours? Jessica, do you want to answer those? Average age that you've seen, and then the intent.
I am happy to do so. So that's a great question. Every tour that I've been on has truly represented a wide range of ages. No joke, from as young as 10 years, 10 years of age, to 85. My first trip, there we had someone in our group who was 85 years old traveling alone by herself. Life goals, hashtag life goals. And then also, to answer your question about, are they really more for, are people looking to meet someone? I haven't been on the solo tour, but I would say traveling solo with the rest, with a traditional itinerary, I have never gotten that vibe. I've never gotten that sense or feeling. It's really people are just there to enjoy, a vacation or time with their friends and family, or as a solo traveler, there to just see, get out there and see and explore. So I've never really gotten that sense or that vibe from my travels with Go Ahead. And I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. No, yeah. Thanks, Jessica. All right. For our last question here, I know there's going to be so many more to come, but like I said, we will be answering as many as we can in the follow-up email. But just to get one final question in here, I'm curious. This is coming a question from Josh. Where are you most excited to travel to next? Andrea, do you want to start with this one?
Absolutely. So I would love to go back to Asia. The only time I've ever been to Asia was our 48 hours in Sri Lanka. I'd love to spend more than a long weekend there. So Thailand, I think, is number one on my list. I'd love to go to Southeast Asia.
Great. I won't go with you this time, just in case there's some.
In case we jinx it, it might be us.
There's some bad mojo still there, so I'll let you do this one by yourself. How about you, Jessica?
Oh my gosh, that's like asking a parent who their favorite child is. My next trip with Go Ahead is booked for December 2022, and I'm going on the Jewels of Alpine Europe. I've heard nothing but rave reviews. Everyone that I've talked to who has been on that trip has loved it. So I'm really looking forward to that. And also, I'm really excited about the Sicily solo tour. I'm really excited about trying that after Alpine Europe. But I know I love Italy, so I'll keep going back I'll find as many.
I might join you in Sicily, Jessica. I haven't been there myself yet.
Make it a fun trip. Let's go. Everyone pack your bags. Let's go.
Fantastic. Thank you both so very much. And thank everyone else for being here with us today. I just have a few more things before you go. I just want to bring up, if you enjoyed your time with us here today as much as I did, please mark your calendars. We have 2 more webinars coming up this month in this next month, February. We have our small group tours that is happening on Thursday, February 11th, 2 weeks from today. And we also have our destination spotlight on Australia, New Zealand, where 3 of our incredible tour directors from Australia and New Zealand will talk to you all about our itineraries in the South Pacific and answer all of your questions that you have about going there next. So we hope you enjoy this. If you enjoyed it, please visit us again, tell all your friends, and we would be happy to have you back. Additionally, we do have a special offer for you all today for joining us with this webinar. So you can now take $100 off your next trip with us on top of our other promotions that we have currently running. So if you call in and are looking to book another trip moving forward, you can add an additional $100 off. Or if you're going online and booking online, just make sure to use the code TALKSOLO and you can make sure to get that extra $100 off. Other than that, again, thank you for your questions. If you do have immediate questions that you want answered, give us a call, 877-260-2041, or you can visit our website, chat with us there. And we are so glad that you're with us. You're part of the EF Go Ahead Tours family. Thank you for coming. Be safe, and we can't wait to see you again. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks again.
Bye, everyone.